Hello, I'm Sebastian. This is my first time on retreat with you. At the moment, when you speak of knowing experience or a subject of experience, I don't know what that is referring to in my experience. When I look at the cloth on your table, there are colors, and I don't know where the knowing of colors comes in or where the subject comes in.
What I mean by knowing is simply experiencing or being aware of. Yeah, you are seeing this cloth. Yes, you are experiencing this cloth. Yes, please say yes.
Yes, yes.
You are knowing this cloth. It's the same. You are aware of this cloth. You are experiencing this cloth. You are knowing this cloth. They are three ways of saying the same thing. That is the way that I use the word knowing, synonymous with experiencing or being aware of. And all your experience is known. You know your thoughts, yes? You are aware of your thoughts.
So there are definitely thoughts in my experience.
Sorry?
So there are thoughts in my experience. I just don't see the I that is knowing them. Okay.
Do you have thoughts?
They're thoughts, yes.
You have thoughts. So you must experience thoughts. If you have thoughts, you experience thoughts. It's two ways of saying the same thing. What is the difference between having a thought, experiencing a thought, and knowing a thought?
So I get the impression there's meant to be something besides the object. If the thought is the object, I don't see what there is that experiences or knows the thought, or a knowing of thought. There's the thought.
Okay, well, can we agree at least that your thoughts are known? They are experienced.
Okay.
That was a hesitant okay.
I don't know. So either, okay, I could say everything that there is experienced. Or I say there are thoughts, there are feelings. I'm just wondering whether I attribute some subject to some that I can't see to objects that seem to be there in a way.
Okay. So, if I understand you correctly, what you're really saying is that my experience is a succession of objects,
yes,
but there is no subject to know them. That's what you're implying.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And in your experience of objects, do you agree that objects come and go?
Yes.
The thought starts and it stops. The sound of the chainsaw starts and stops. My voice starts and stops, etc. Yeah. So, in your version of experience, experience should be a series of intermittent objects, starting and stopping. There would be no continuity of experience in your case, because no objects are continuous. And if objects are all there is to experience, there would be no continuity of experience. Now, do you experience a continuity to your experience? Is experience one long seamless flow, for instance, from breakfast to now? Or is it a series of discrete, independent, intermittent objects with nothing connecting them?
It feels continuous.
Okay, so what is the continuous element in your experience, given that one, you agree that all objects are discontinuous, and two, you agreed that, or you said earlier, that all there is to your experience are objects? How come there is continuity in your experience? What is it that is continuous? Or what is it that gives your experience its continuity?
that makes logically sense to me.
No,
But-
it was a question.
Oh, sorry, okay.
I'm asking you, if all there is to your experience are intermittent objects, how come you also claim that there is a continuity to your experience? What is it in your experience that continues? This is not a trick question. I'm not trying to catch you out. I'm trying to lead you in, I'm trying to find out, I'm trying to bring out in you what it is that makes you feel that your experience is undoubtedly continuous, given that you previously said, all I know are intermittent objects. I agree with you that experience is continuous, by the way. I just want you to see where the continuity of experience comes from, given that it cannot come from an intermittent object.
So if things come and go, then one reason for not having continuity, so if there's continuity, either there's always an object present, this object is replaced by this object, is replaced by this object, and there are no gaps where there isn't any object.
Well, there must be a gap between your thoughts. If there was no gap between your thought, you would only ever experience one thought. The fact that you say, I experience more than one thought, is because there is a gap between those thoughts.
But then there's not only thought, there are
Likewise,
perceptions, there's sensations.
perceptions. But have you had one perception in your life or numerous perceptions in your life?
Numerous.
What is it that exists in between those perceptions? What is there in between thoughts and perceptions?
Intuitively, I want to say I am there between them.
That's what I want you to say
Yes.
too.
I see that.
Okay, perfect. So tell us about that I. It must be there before your thoughts and perceptions. It must be there during your thoughts and perceptions, albeit eclipsed by them. It's there in between your thoughts and perceptions, and it's there when your thoughts or perception come to an end. Yes? What is its nature? It must be, I'll give you one hint, it must be inherently free of thoughts and perceptions because it is present while they are not. So tell us more about yourself.
What do you want to tell me about myself?
Whatever you know about yourself from your experience. Are you always present in your experience of yourself?
Yes.
Okay. And the reason you can say, I am always present, is I can tell from the way you said that you were not talking theory, you were not guessing it, you didn't read it in a book. It is your experience. You know that you are always present.
Yes.
So whatever this I is, between all our thought, between and behind our thoughts and perceptions, it is not only present. In other words, we do not only say I am, but we know that it is present. In other words, I know that I am.
Okay.
So this I is not just being, it is knowing being or aware being. If our being was not self-aware. None of us would have the experience, I know that I am. Is there anybody here who, from their experience, cannot say honestly, I know that I am? We can all say that. And if we were to ask that question to any of the 7 billion of us, do you know that you exist? They would pause, they would refer to themselves, and they would say, yes, I know that I am. If dogs and cats and fishes and beetles could understand our language and we asked them the same question, they would pause, refer to their own being and say, yes, I know that I am. It is the most intimate, most obvious, most fundamental fact of experience that is equally available to everybody, but overlooked by most people in favor of objective experience. So this being that we are is knowing, it is aware. And whenever we are aware of experience, and all experience, we are aware by definition of experience, then the knowing element in experience comes from ourself. It is ourself that illuminates experience and renders it knowable. What is it that knows or is aware of or experiences the sound of the chainsaw? It is I. I hear the chainsaw. And when that chainsaw stops, the sound disappears, but I do not disappear. I remain present to know the next sound or the next thought or the next sensation. So this knowing I is the continuous element in all experience. And being the common factor in all experience, it is not limited by any particular experience.
So the argument led me to that there must be an I. When I hear a sound, is there some way of experiencing the I that knows the sound? Or is it just the implication there must be something that is experiencing?
If I were to ask you the question, are you aware? What would you say?
Intuitively, I want to say yes. What comes up is a sensation in the chest, but that's an object.
Yes, as you rightly imply, I wasn't asking you about whether you're aware of the sensation in your chest or the sight of this room or the sound of this voice. I was just asking, are you aware? Is it your experience that you are aware?
Intuitively, I want to say yes. I don't see the I, but hearing this question, I want to say yes.
Okay, but
I just said what it triggers in me, sensations in the chest, a feeling of expansion maybe when I work with these pointers, but it all feels like particular sensations and feelings that come up as response to the question, and an intuitive sense of wanting to say yes.
No, but I don't want you to say yes because you know that I want you to say yes.
Yes.
I respect the fact that you're being honest. You're only speaking from your experience, even if it is not what I want to hear. That's good. Don't stick to your guns. Only speak from your experience. Would you feel happy making the statement, I am not aware? Would that accurately reflect your experience?
I wouldn't have confidence in that statement either, because I haven't seen the I, or what the word I refers to.
I can see that we're sticking on the word I. Let's try to take the word I out of it, because it's fine if you don't like the word I. Let's try not to use the word I. Would you agree that there is experience?
Yes.
Would you agree that all experience is known?
Yes.
Would you agree that all experiences differ?
Yes.
Would you agree that knowing is the common factor in all changing experience?
I'm happy with that statement.
Being the common factor in all changing experience, would you agree that knowing itself cannot be limited by any particular experience?
Yes.
Or that knowing doesn't share the limited qualities of any particular experience?
Yes.
And therefore, being unlimited, it must be without objective qualities, because any objective quality would be some kind of a limit.
Yes.
So knowing must be unlimited and non-objective.
Yes.
It is the essence of all experience, but it is not itself an experience.
Thank you.
I haven't quite finished.
Okay.
Would you agree that all there is to experience is the knowing of it?
Individual experiences seem to have objective qualities.
Yes, I agree. Individual experience has objective qualities, but if you try to touch the stuff that your individual experiences are made out of, would you agree that all there is to that experience is the knowing of it or the experiencing of it?
I'm not sure if I understand what all there is to it means. That's the common element.
Yeah, but take a single experience, such as the sight of this room.
Yeah.
And the sight of this room is made out of the experience of seeing. All that is there is the experience of seeing. Yes?
Yes.
And all there is to seeing is the knowing of it. Or let me put it this way, is there anything to seeing other than the knowing of it? The experiencing of it?
No.
Okay. So, and now let's take one other example. Let's take the example of the sensation, the tingling sensation at the soles of your feet. All there is to that, the sensation is the experience of sensing.
Yes.
Yeah? And all there is to sensing is the knowing of it.
Yes.
Yeah? Now, is the knowing out of which the sight of this room is made, and the knowing out of which the sensation of your foot is made, is it the same knowing or a different knowing?
Same knowing?
Perfect. It must be the same knowing, because you've already agreed from your experience that this knowing is colorless and without limits. There can't be two different types of knowing if neither of them have a limit or a form. There are different types of experiences because each experience has a limit and a form. But the only stuff that all these numerous experiences are made of is this colorless or formless knowing. Yes? Mm-hmm. Now, just look about all your experience. Don't limit it to the sight of this room or the sensation of your foot, but go anywhere you like in experience. Do you both your current experience, your remembered experience, or your imagined experience? And feel free to go to the extremes of experience. Do you ever come in contact with anything other? Or not do you ever, to try not to use the you word or the I word. Is there ever anything to any experience other than the knowing of it? Or is knowing the only substance, if we can call it a substance, that is present in experience?
That word resonates now, substance. The
Sorry?
word substance resonates in a way.
This, what I mean
Because
by substance.
the only thing that is to it, I still wasn't quite clear, but
that's it.
that makes sense.
All there is to it, the substance, the stuff it is made of. Yeah, its reality. Is there anything to any experience other than the knowing of it?
No.
So knowing is the only substance that is ever truly experienced. And what is it that would know knowing? What is it that can know or experience knowing? Knowing. Knowing is another name for consciousness. All we can be certain of is that there is consciousness. There is knowing. And all of this, whatever this is for each of us in any moment, is a modulation of this knowing. A single, infinite, indivisible substance or reality that modulates itself in all forms of seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and smelling, but never actually ceases to be itself, never becomes something other than itself, indeed never becomes a thing, such as a thought, or a feeling, or a perception, let alone a world or a self. And the common name for this, we cannot really name it, because all names have been evolved to describe the parts of the whole. But the whole itself, there's no real name for it. But if we were, it is named, it is given various names, depending on the point of view we take. Religious people call it God. Scientific people call it consciousness. Spiritual people call it awareness. Ordinary people, like you and I, call it I. It's just the common name for it, the common name for that which is. But none of those names are accurate, because implicit in the word I is you. So no words describe it, but we don't want to remain silent all week, so we use these words, but with understanding. I like the word I, and there's something, each word, there are many other words, happiness, peace, each of these words indicates something that is true about this reality, this unspeakable reality that we are trying to speak about. For instance, I, in common parlance, is the name we give to that which is most intimate to us. That's why I like the word I. But the word I, for most people, is also associated with something that is personal and limited. That aspect is not relevant when speaking of reality. So we should take the intimate nature of what we call I, and now take the word God. The downside of using the word God is that for those of us that have been brought up in a Catholic or God is considered to be something at an infinite distance from ourselves. We should not take that part of the word God. However, there is, I think, a beautiful quality that is evoked by using the word God, which is something to do with its infinite, unlimited, omniscience, omnipresent nature. So we should take those aspects of the word God, mix it with the intimate aspect of the word I. And that would be close to a satisfactory word. If there was a word that somehow mixed the intimate nature that is evoked by the word I and the infinite, indivisible, omnipotent, omnipresent nature that is evoked by the word God, and we were somehow to mix them together. And then we of course have to use from the word consciousness, we have to take the knowing element. So we use all these words in a hope that we somehow evoke in our experience what we are trying to refer to.
Thank you.